Good day everyone and welcome back to Jack's Cosplay. My name is Jax and I do cosplay. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video of mine. It really means a lot. In today's video, what we are going to be doing is we are going to be continuing with our series on how to make a Kirishima Red Ride cosplay from the anime series My Hero Academia. Now in previous videos I have showed you how to make the Kirishima boots for the cosplay, and I've showed you how to make the gear pauldrons that go on his shoulders for the cosplay. And if you want to see how these are made, I will put a link here to the videos so you can go and check out those videos. Now, a few videos ago, I think in one of my Assassin's Creed videos, I told you guys that the wig for my Kirishima cosplay had arrived. However, unfortunately on that front, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news about the wig. The good news is that the wig has been styled. My friends Blue Pixie Kimiko Cosplay and Blue Cat Cosplay, they helped me style the wig and get it to look exactly like Kirishima's hair. The bad news, unfortunately, is that we were unable to record the styling process. So this is what the wig currently looks like, and there's a few loose strands that need to be put in the right place again. But yeah, so we weren't entirely sure what we were doing the whole time. It was the first time they had styled a spiked wig, and I know absolutely nothing about wig styling, so it was completely new for me. So unfortunately, we were unable to film the process of styling this wig. But basically how it went about was we used a small comb, we teased the hair of the wig, we partitioned it into smaller sections that we wanted to be the spikes, we used hair elastics to hold them in those sections, and then we used got-to-be hairspray glue, not Gorilla Glue, to glue the spikes into place where we wanted them, and then we used some scissors to just cut it where it needed a bit of cutting and all that. So yeah, so unfortunately there will be no video on making the wig, but if you guys have got any questions, feel free to put them in the comments or send me a DM on Instagram, and I will try to help you out as much as possible and tell you how we went about styling this wig. But else there are tons of great videos on YouTube on how to style a Kirishima wig. So in today's video, what we're going to be doing for the cosplay is we are going to be working on the black shirt that I'm going to wear with the Kirishima cosplay, as well as I want to make some wrist bracelets accessories to go with the cosplay. So I want to do them in the same sort of style as the boots and the gears. So this red and silver battle damaged mechanical kind of look. So they'll just be two basic bracelets that go around the wrist there. So that is what we are going to be doing in today's video. Okay, so the first thing I want to get started with is I want to start out by making the wrist bracelets, which are going to go around the wrist here. So once again, I am using 10mm EVA foam floor mats for this, like I have for every other part of the build. And what I've got here is I've just got the edge of one of those puzzle mats, which I'm going to use to measure around my wrist to see how much foam I'm going to need to make the actual wrist pieces. So I'm just going to put my hand here, wrap around like that. Let me do it with my left hand because I'm right-handed. I don't know why I'm trying to do that with my right hand. So put it there, wrap it around. And now it doesn't have to be a perfectly snug fit, but I can see more or less. Okay, so that position there. This might actually be a bit easier if you have got someone to help you. So now I know that I need two pieces that are this long to go around my wrist. Now don't worry about making it big enough to go over your clenched fist or hand, because how these are, they're not actually going to be glued together. There's going to be a thin piece of elastic between the two pieces that allows them to flex when you slide it over your hand. So now that I know my length, I can go ahead and I can cut out two pieces of foam that are this long and however wide I want the bracelets to be. Okay, so I've got my piece cut here, which is the right length to go around my wrist with a bit of movement room. And I have also got this piece of foam here, and I decided I want a width of 6 centimeters. So I've just gone and measured 6 centimeters, a strip that is 6 centimeters. So now I can go and cut out two pieces that are this long and 6 centimeters wide to use for the bracelets. Okay, so there we go. We've got our two pieces, which are going to be our bracelets, to go around our wrists like so. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to mark some partitions along these pieces of foam. So I have just taken my length of them and divided it by 5. So it's 23 divided by 5, so I get 4.6. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark every 4.6 centimeters so I can get some equal partitions here to add some detail to these pieces of the bracelets. So I'm just going to go 4.6. And you just want to go ahead and do that to both pieces of your foam, and then we can move on to the next step. Okay, so what we're going to be doing now is we are going to be using a soldering iron. I use a Dremel Versatip, which is a gas-powered soldering iron, but you can also use an electric one. And what we're going to do is we're just going to heat up the tip and then carve in these lines into the foam to add a bit of detail. And one thing you want to do, make sure, is when you are using a soldering iron on foam, it lets off toxic fumes. So you have to wear a respirator. So let's go ahead and start doing this. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to add some circular rivet type mechanical looking details to these pieces. So what I've got here is I've got my Dremel tool and I've got a basic sanding drum on it, and I've basically just pulled the sanding drum up a little bit so that it is not completely flush with the base of the head here, so that I can push it into the foam whilst it's spinning and create the cool little circular details. And also when you're working with foam and a Dremel, it creates dust. So once again, you want to have your respirator handy and use it throughout the time so that you don't get any harmful dust and foam dust particles inside your lungs. So there we go. There is where I have gone and put in the first little detail, and it just adds a nice little mechanical look to these pieces. So I'm just going to go ahead and do some more along these two pieces, and then we will move on to the weathering and battle damage stage. So let's go ahead and put some more details on it. Okay, the other thing we want to do with the Dremel is we just want to take the sanding drum and we just want to go along the edges and just clean them up, round them off, and make it look a bit neater. So once again, respirator. And I forgot to mention earlier, something else I do whenever I am working with anything that is rotating is I use a pair of safety glasses, because you don't want something breaking off and flying towards your face at high speed, which could blind you. So yeah, so always safety first. So respirator and safety glasses. And there we have got a nice finish towards the edges of the pieces. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that to this one as well. And then we can break out the soldering iron again and do some battle damage scarring to these pieces. Okay, so now that we have got the details in and we've sanded on the edges, we're just going to take the soldering iron again, we're going to heat it up, and we are just going to put some battle damage on it like we did with the other pieces in the other videos. So let's go ahead and get this heated up, and don't forget to use your respirator. Okay, so now we have got our pieces, we have got them cut out, we have added in our detail parts, we have added in some battle damage with the soldering iron. So the next thing that we've got to do is we want to heat seal these. So we're just going to heat them with a heat gun. And then also while we're doing that, we're going to start curving them into the round bracelet shape that we want while they are being heated, and then they will hopefully hold a bit of that shape. And then after that, we can then get onto the painting, and then once the painting is done, we will go ahead and add the elastics. Okay, so now that we have got these heat shaped and formed, whilst they were still hot and I was holding the position, I just used some masking tape and I just put a strip around to hold them in position until they had cooled into the shape. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to take some red craft acrylic paint. So the brand I'm using is Dala, which is what I use for a lot of my cosplay builds. It's a really great paint. So this is what I use here in South Africa, but there are other brands that you can use internationally, things like Plaid and Createx and all those different paints, but this is the paint that I like to use, Dala Craft Paint. So we're just going to go ahead and paint these red. And you're probably going to want to give these probably about 2 to 3 coats of red paint just to ensure that everything is covered. Okay, so now that we have got these pieces painted up red, we're just going to take some of the silver metallic acrylic craft paint, also Dala, and we're just going to dry brush them over the edges and the battle damage parts to add a bit of character to these pieces and make them look a bit weathered and battle damaged. Now to do the dry brushing, you just want to put a little bit of paint on your brush, and then you want to wipe most of it off. Then you want to lightly go over the edges and just put some along the edges there. That's still probably a bit too much. There we go. And you just want to go like that along all the edges and over the scrapes, with any places where the pieces would see a bit of wear and tear, where the paint would probably chip off. You just want to reveal the metallic look underneath them. Okay, so we have now got our 2 pieces weathered up, and we put our paint, our silver paint on them to make it look like the red paint is chipped wet. What I've done now is I've gone and I've mixed up some black acrylic paint with some water at probably about a 50-50 ratio. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and put that wash all over these pieces and then use some kitchen towel to wipe it away so that it will stay in the low spots, make it look a bit muddy, a bit weathered, and like it's seen some battle. So let's go ahead and do that. So as you can see here, just the comparison between that part there and this part here, just adding that extra layer of black paint really makes those details pop. It looks a bit weathered and it doesn't look as bright as the red here, but it still has that red undertone with a bit of dirt and mud. And so yeah, so let's just go ahead and do that for the rest of this bracelet. And there we have it. And as you can see, it is a relatively quick process that just adds so much more detail and dimension and depth to these pieces. So it makes them, like, if you just compare the two pieces there, this just has so much more depth and character to it with the combination of the red, the silver, and the black. So I highly recommend using this technique when you're weathering and adding some battle damage to your props and armor. Okay, and with that, we have finished doing all the detailing, the weathering, the battle damage on our two cuff bracelets. So all that we need to do to these pieces now is we need to take some fabric elastic and attach it to the inside of these cuffs so that they can open and close when I put them on my hands. And to attach them, we are just going to use some hot glue to attach the elastic to the foam cuffs. Okay, and there we have it. We have completed the cuffs for our Kirishima Cosplay. Now they do fall down a little bit now, but once the shirt is on, hopefully they will stay in position. And this is just a little addition that I wanted to make to my cosplay, to my Kirishima Cosplay, to make it look a little bit different to some of the other ones that are out there. The next thing that we're going to do is I've got a long sleeve black t-shirt, and I did get this a size or two smaller than what I would normally wear, just so it's a bit tight on me, just to, you know, give off that little bit of a Kirishima look. And what I'm going to do now is, in all the reference images, he's generally, you can see his full chest with the black sleeves. But what I've decided that I'm going to do instead is I'm going to convert the shirt into a crop top of sorts and leave a little bit of the top portion, just because that's what I want to do for my cosplay. So we're just going to go ahead now. We are going to cut off the bottom portion. We're going to hem it up. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to attach some Velcro to the shoulders here and to the gear pieces so that the gear pieces can attach to the shoulders of the shirt when I wear it. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and there we have it. That is how to put together the shirt and the cuff accessories for your Kirishima cosplay. And I'll put up some pictures here now so that you can see what it looks like when I'm wearing it. Now, just bear in mind that in these pictures, I don't have any of the makeup on, and I probably need a shave, and I don't have any contact lenses on. So yeah, so just bear that in mind while you're looking at these pictures. Don't judge me too harshly. So that's our part 3 for our Kirishima cosplay tutorial done. And stay tuned for the next one. If you have been enjoying this type of content, please hit that subscribe button so that I know you're enjoying this content. Hit that like button and just stick along for the journey. Until next time, this has been Jack's Cosplay.